You wake up one morning, look at the life you have spent 30 or 40 years building, and you feel absolutely nothing. The house is the same. The job is the same. The family is the same. But you are different. It feels like you are wearing a suit that was tailored for someone else. You walk through your daily routine, the coffee, the commute, the meetings, the dinner conversation, and you feel like a stranger in your own movie.
The immediate reaction to this feeling is panic. We are conditioned to label this sensation as a crisis. We call it a slump, a depression, or the beginning of a decline. You might think something is wrong with your brain chemistry, or that you have simply lost your gratitude. But here's the truth. This discomfort is not a sign that things are falling apart. It is a sign that things are finally ready to be realigned. Think of it this way. In the first half of life, you are a builder of additions. You add rooms, stories, wings to your house to accommodate your career, family, and social standing. This is the act of accumulation. But the second half is about structural renovation. You cannot renovate without demolition. That feeling of being a stranger, that's the dust kicking up because your internal architect has arrived on site. The architect isn't here to destroy you. The architect is here to take down the walls blocking your view. The discomfort you feel right now isn't a red light. Your identity is ready to shift. You are moving from a life of accident to a life of intent. But to get there, you have to recognize the signals. There are 3 specific internal signs that prove you are not lost, but actually right on track. The first sign is often the most terrifying because it feels like a death. It is the sudden, inexplicable lack of interest in the things that used to define you. For decades, you might have been driven by professional accolades, or perhaps you were the person who never missed a social event. Or maybe you were obsessed with a specific hobby like golf or cycling. These things were the fuel in your engine. They got you out of bed. They gave you a sense of direction. And then, almost overnight, the fuel tank runs dry. You look at the quarterly report, or the golf clubs, or the invitation to the gala, and you feel a heavy, dull indifference. This is what I call the great shedding, and it usually triggers like a deep internal panic. You start asking yourself dangerous questions. Have I become lazy? Have I lost my drive? Is this what aging feels like? Just giving up? You are making space. You are experiencing what neurologists might call a ghost limb sensation. If you talk to someone who has lost an arm, they will tell you they can still feel the fingers clenching, the itch on a palm that isn't there. In your case, you are feeling the phantom weight of a role you no longer need to play. You might still feel the pressure to be the provider, the fixer, or the executive, even though your soul has already amputated that identity. The pain comes from trying to use a limb that is no longer part of your body. We spend the first act climbing ladders. We are told that if we just climb high enough, we will find happiness, security, and meaning. So we climb. We sacrifice our weekends, our health, sometimes our relationships, to get to the next rung. Then, somewhere around 50, we get to the top, look over the wall, and realize the ladder was leaning against the wrong building. The great shedding is the moment you stop climbing. The fear you feel isn't about laziness. It's the fear of the void. If you aren't the person who crushes targets, who are you? If you aren't the person who solves everyone's problems, do you still have value? You cannot build a new identity while your hands are still full of the old one. Let the old roles die so the new self can breathe. You are moving your ambition from chasing to creating. When you finally stop fighting this shedding process, when you stop trying to force yourself to care about things that no longer matter, you enter a period of quiet. The noise of the first act fades away, and in that silence, you encounter the second sign, a fog that feels like paralysis, but is actually protection. Then comes the phase that frightens the high performers more than anything else. You sit down at your desk, you open the laptop, you have the coffee, you have the list, you know exactly what you need to do. But your brain simply refuses to engage. It is not just procrastination. It feels like a physical barrier, a thick, heavy fog that wraps around your will and suffocates it. In the past, you could power through this. You could use adrenaline or the fear of deadlines, or just sheer discipline to force the work out. But now, the engine turns over, sputters, and dies. This is productivity paralysis, or what I call the fog of being. For those of us who have spent our lives as doers, this sensation is absolute torture. You have spent decades measuring your worth by your output. Your equation for life has been simple and linear. Input plus effort equals success. When you stop outputting, you feel like you are disappearing. You look at that to-do list, and it doesn't just look boring. It looks like an indictment. You feel the guilt rising in your chest, a hot, prickly heat that tells you you are wasting time, that you are losing your edge, that the world is moving on without you. But let's look at the neuroscience of what is actually happening here. For the first 40 or 50 years, your brain ran on dopamine, the molecule of more, the chemical reward for chasing, acquiring, checking the box. As you shift into this second act, your neurochemistry is switching fuel sources from dopamine to serotonin and oxytocin, the chemicals of contentment, connection, and being. Your brain is literally rewiring itself to prioritize depth over speed, but because you are still trying to run the old operating system, the system crashes. This fog you feel, it isn't a malfunction, it is a protective mechanism. It is a governor placed on your engine. Your intuition knows that if you keep running at the old speed, you will miss the turnoff for your new life. So, it shuts you down. It forces you into the liminal space. The liminal space is that terrifying hallway between the door you just closed and the door that hasn't opened yet. It's dark in here. It's quiet. And to the ego, it feels like death. The ego screams, do something, fix something, build something. But the soul whispers, wait. The fog is designed to slow you down enough so that you can finally hear yourself think. It is stripping away the distraction of busyness, so you are forced to confront the only thing left, yourself. You are not depressed. You are not broken. You are in the void of creation. Every great structure starts as a hole in the ground. If you try to build before the foundation is set, the house collapses. So when you feel this paralysis, when you physically cannot force yourself to send another email or attend another pointless meeting, do not judge yourself. Instead, use this mantra. I am not stuck. I am calibrating. You are tuning your instrument for a new song. And as that internal rhythm changes, as you begin to settle into this new, slower, deeper frequency, you will notice something else shifting. Your tolerance for the outside world will drop like a stone. This brings us to the third sign, and for many, this is the most socially painful part of the process. I call it the tolerance drop, or the social allergy. It usually happens in environments where you used to feel perfectly comfortable. You are at a dinner party with friends you've known for years. Someone is telling a story about their renovation, or their promotion, or the new car they just bought. It's a conversation you have participated in 1,000 times. But suddenly, you feel a physical reaction. Your chest tightens. You feel restless. You feel an overwhelming urge to stand up and walk out of the room. It feels like the air has been sucked out of the space. You might think you are becoming grumpy. You might worry you are turning into a bitter old recluse. You might even judge yourself for being ungrateful for these friendships. But this isn't about personality. It is about resonance. Think of yourself as a radio. For years you were tuned to the frequency of the first act, the frequency of accumulation, status, and external validation. All your friends were tuned to that same station. The signal was clear. But now, you are turning the dial. You are tuning into the frequency of the second act, the frequency of meaning, legacy, and internal alignment. And when you are tuned to a different station, the old signal just sounds like static. It is noise, and it is loud. This is an energetic mismatch. The conversations about surface-level success don't just bore you anymore. They actually drain you. You are becoming highly sensitive to alignment. When a building is under major renovation, you don't let the public wander through the site. That same protective instinct applies here. The work being done on your foundation requires focus. This manifests as a need for solitude that can feel almost aggressive. You start saying no to invitations you used to accept. You avoid phone calls. You crave long walks alone, and with this solitude comes guilt. You feel like you are abandoning people. You feel like a bad friend. But protecting your energy right now isn't a luxury. It's a requirement for the rebuild. You cannot pour concrete while people are walking through the wet cement. You need stillness to set the form of your new identity. And sometimes that means the people who knew the old you cannot come with you into the new you. This is not an act of malice. You aren't judging them for where they are. You are simply acknowledging that you are no longer there. It is an act of integrity toward your future self. If you keep forcing yourself to endure these mismatched interactions, to be polite, you are leaking the energy you need for your reinvention. You are delaying your own breakthrough to keep others comfortable. The tolerance drop is your guidance system, telling you who fits in the new house and who doesn't. It is painful, yes, but it is also the only way to ensure that the life you are building is filled with people and conversations that actually feed your soul, rather than just occupying your time. When you stop fighting this need for solitude and start honoring it, the guilt begins to fade. You realize that you aren't pushing people away out of anger. You are creating the necessary distance to hear your own voice. You are clearing the site so the real work can finally begin. And once you accept these three signs, the shedding, the fog, and the allergy, you stop seeing them as problems to be solved. You start seeing them as the blueprints for the person you are becoming. If you recognize yourself in these descriptions, if you are feeling the emptiness of the great shedding, the heavy confusion of the fog, or the sharp irritation of the tolerance stritu, I want you to take a deep breath. The intensity of this demolition is directly proportional to the magnitude of the breakthrough waiting on the other side. The second act of life operates by a different set of laws than the first, no longer about what you can acquire or achieve, but entirely about who you are becoming. Alignment, not accumulation. And alignment requires space. Let the old structures come down so you can finally see the horizon again. The discomfort is temporary, but the foundation you are pouring right now will support the rest of your life. If you are ready to stop drifting through this transition and start building your next chapter with true intentionality, make sure you are subscribed. We are writing the playbook for the second half right here, together, and I want to hear from you below. Which of these three signs is pressing on you the hardest right now? Is it the shedding, the fog, or the tolerance drop? Let me know in the comments. Your next chapter starts now.